Viewers all over the world, I welcome you all to today's session of Philosophy and Life. Here with us today is an ordinary evangelist. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Ogbuefi Eze-Ana Ugochitubelu. I call me Akajugo. I'm an ancient high priest and also an evangelist. So you can call me a priest or an evangelist. I'll answer. My mission is to help people live better life. Thank you.
I know you're ready for us today, sir.
Yes,
And so many people are ready also for you because your
exactly.
viewers are really listening to you right now.
Exactly.
All right, straight to the point. Does gratitude feel like a practice or a feeling to you?
Yeah, for me, gratitude, I will explain it in two ways. One, um, gratitude should be a practice for every human being because if people perceive you as a grateful soul, people will always like to identify with you. And the one other it says, "Ekene nwanyị na-agwa akịdị ka adị agwọta ọzọ," meaning if people perceive you as someone that will always be grateful and show gratitude, they will always see you as someone with purest heart, and people will like to identify with you. So I'm urging my fans all over the world to learn it, even if you are not a type of person that always like to use those magic words that show literally you appreciate. Um, Try to learn it because it's one of the virtue that is very important. It's a virtue that will showcase the people the type of heart you have. So it's very good practice for everybody to learn. Then gratitude again makes me feel this innermost joy that I actually have touched lives. So it's a joyful moment for me. So whenever I see somebody shows gratitude to me, maybe the person benefited in one way or the other from me, I thank the Most High for making me a vessel to touch lives. So it's a thing of joy.
Wow. Okay, do you see rest as a necessity or a luxury?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The fact remains that rest is a necessity created by Chukwu the way human body was fashioned in a way that from time to time human body should have rest. That's why when you try to bypass that necessity, that nature, sometimes nature will strike. You see some certain people maybe they overstress themselves without rest. You see them in the motor they will be like this because they are already exhausted. So your body has a way of telling you that look, you need to pause and have a rest. During that rest, your cells in your body rejuvenate and for better performance. So when anybody decided not to have rest, the person is running at high risk. Not only physical rest, even spiritual rest is also very important because in that resting period, you will be able to harmonize your spirit, be able to recharge according to the charging. And if I will cite as a simple example, remember Jesus, we are told in the Bible that he went to Mount Sinai to pray with Peter, James, and John. During that time is resting time because they took themselves away from hustling and bustling out there and look for a serene place where they can be in a quiet place and meditate. Upon at a certain time, the disciples now noticed that there's more beings that join their master. So we call it transfiguration. So I can assure anybody that is following me to learn this attitude of resting, both spiritually and physical resting. Now I'm talking about spiritual resting. By that you rested your mind, you'll be able to harmonize your strength, and by that resting, you'll be able to communicate to your forces. And believe in me, you are putting yourself in a way that it will be easier for the spirit to communicate to you and to rejuvenate, awaken your inner spirit. Thank you.
So, how does gratitude connect you to your community?
Yeah, gratitude is the essential thing that I believe that every human being that was born in a community should be a blessing to that community. However, um, I'm not expecting, based on my experience so far, that every member of my community will appreciate my gesture. And moreover, my mission is to help people live better life. My mission is to do what is right for them. Yes, so that life will be easier for them. However, let me give an example. In my community, I have a borehole where people can come and fetch water, to mention a few. But I'm not expecting everybody to appreciate it. Some people, despite the fact that we must have helped them, maybe some certain season of the year, share rice, maybe dash meat and whatever. If you pay some school fees for some students, be asking for more. That is one spirit. So I'm not expecting everybody to appreciate it or to please everybody, but it's not possible. You can't please all. Mm. And even if I will tell you some stories about the other called ones, before now, example, Jesus Christ we are mentioned in the Bible, he did his best. We never had that he took somebody's wife. We never had that he take what does not belong to him. But yet his people, out of envy and jealousy, we are told about the effort made by the Pharisees and Sadducees to suppress his effort, thinking that this man have come to outshine them. So there's so many people things that will make some people to envy you. So the most important thing is that to do the right thing, and the thing is that you can't please all. But for me, I encourage everybody to do your best and leave the rest to God. Thank you.
Are there efforts to address the or dismantle rather the Osu caste system?
Yeah, so caste system is a traditional matter, and I'm sure that most communities are fighting their best to remove the barriers and restore normalities. So and it's a traditional stuff, and the people, the traditional authorities should be the one dealing with it and abolish it. The truth of the matter, this is not a constitutional matter in a way that the House of Assembly may be in their hollow chambers and they make some decrees, or even state governors and make some pronouncements. If you make some pronouncement and it's not deep down with people, and people feel that their life is not safe because they believe that what actually led to that has to do with spirituality, cultural, and the way of life of their people. So it will still use the same method to abolish it, so that people, commoners in the society, will understand that this has been abolished, that if they go contrary to it, that nothing will happen to them. That is the best way and best approach to restore sanity and harmony in the society. Thank you.
So how can practicing gratitude shift the perspective of someone in as in during tough times? How can practicing gratitude shift the perspective?
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that tough times never last, but tough people do last. Fruit and shame. The truth of the matter is that practicing gratitude is really of great help, because if you're a type that always show gratitude, people will be seeing you as someone that is good at heart. And when the challenges or the chips are down, people will now say, this person has a good heart and somebody that appreciates. It will make people to always look towards their directions and say, this person has a good heart, we can do things with her. It's somebody that if you help her, she will appreciate. But if you are not a type that has this gratitude of a thing, so when the chips are down, people are not going to believe you, or people will not come to your rescue or to help out, because knowing fully well that that you are not a type that we appreciate and come back and say
Thank
thank you.
you.
Example, we are told about the story in the Bible where Jesus healed 10 sick people, and only one came back and said, Master, thank you for healing me. He now said, is it not 10 people I healed? Where is the other 9? To show you that even God ones are even expecting you to come and say thank you. Sometimes some people think that rich men and wealthy men and successful people are not expecting thank you. No, because if you are saying thank you, the person will know, oh, this person, what I did for her, she appreciates it, and the person will keep on looking for avenue to do more.
Yeah.
Like me, sometimes if I try to be nice to somebody and the person is not reciprocating in a way that I will be convinced that he really appreciates, it might make me to put a stop to it. There's a particular person I have not seen in my entire life, as in one on one, except social media of a thing. I tried my best to spend and everything, but at the stage I felt that she's not showing gratitude enough. You understand? To this, because I believe that if somebody actually showing gratitude, somebody will say, people we're telling everybody all the dick and hardy that look at what this person has done for me. Or even in the Bible, you see many people that Jesus healed, and they went to the town and be broadcasting it. Oh, I'm well, or he had me, or so the master will be happy. You understand? So if somebody did anything for you, and because for me, I noticed that for the fact that she's not showcasing as in telling good things and saying appreciate it, I felt like it's not necessary. Maybe it does not need it. I stopped. So it's no matter. I remember when my grandmother was alive, I would go to her house there, visit maybe 500, maybe 1,000, and she would keep dancing. After that, she would go out there, maybe look for Akio Igbo, orange or whatever, and said, give to me to strike a balance. And not all. She'll be telling all her children visiting. Look at what my children gave to me, or this and that, or thank him for me. Oh. Even if after 1 week I will see one of our daughters, say, Mama told me what he gave to her, I understand. You understand? So I'm supposed to do more. So the truth of the matter is that if I'm nice to you, I notice that you are not reciprocating, showing that you appreciate, I will stop. That is normal thing, and I'm not indebted to keep spending or to keep doing when the person I'm doing it for does not from time to time show that I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people even in the temple used to dash me money sometimes. And I take this one for the child, I take this one to support building of the place of worship, and they have sometimes overwhelmed and they pray for them. So such acts, spoil them to do more. You understand? So ekele onye na-agwa akịdịka dị what ọzọ daalụ.
What roles do you feel you've been stuck on? A caregiver, a leader, or a healer?
Okay, thank you for that question. The truth of the matter is that the three categories are interwoven. If you ask me, I would say I'm a caregiver because for you to be a caregiver, you must be a type that love humanity. It must be somebody that feel touched when you see people without clothing and people that actually needed help. And that is if you are a caregiver, you will also care about how their people, how you can lead them, and trying to lead them to the right path. You must be somebody that concerns, genuine concern for your people in order for you to lead them, and again for you to heal them, both emotional and the sick people. You must actually feel the person's pain and the predicaments so that you genuinely feel touched. Let me tell you about what happened, what's known as miracle. Miracle is when you felt somebody's pain and you genuinely interceded and wished that the person will be overcome the present challenges. It's when you now someone you are foresee, plead consistently remember the person in prayers, asking for supernatural forces to revisit the person's case. That is when healing will take place. Sometimes healing might not be automatic. Sometimes healing takes process because of the causes and the energies that is contributed or have a hand in the person's case. Sometimes you keep appealing, it's something like what is happening in the world. You see somebody that maybe had police case, is in the prison or whatever, you have to start making contacts to see people that are in charge of that particular case, talking to them. You see some of the people that are in charge of the case, they will say, okay, because of you, we visit in the case and whatever. But you see some people that will prove so difficult, but you keep persuading them to reconsider their stand and everything. So sometimes some healings might not come automatic, but the most important thing is that it must surely come. So for me, I what actually propel me as a driving force is um, what I will be able to do to be a joy giver, cause of joy to people that have come across um, me in one way or the other. So if you ask me, I would say that the three things you just mentioned, caregiver, leadership, and the healing, they are interwoven, and I have interest in all of them. Thank
How do I handle someone who doesn't want to accept my apology, who doesn't accept my apology? How do I handle that kind of person?
you. Yeah, the most important thing is that you, if you wrong someone in any way, you felt thought and feel that you are sorry, feel guilt that you have actually wronged this person. The first and foremost thing to do is to approach the person to show the person that actually my brother, my sister, I'm deeply sorry for wronging you. It wasn't intentional. Then after doing that and the person still prove stubborn that you can never forgive, some people are like that, they will say, I will never forgive you until this life. So if you encounter such person, why the person find it difficult to forgive, maybe the person feel that what you did to her was intentional or to look down on him or her. So what you have to do to convince the person that what actually happened is as a result of maybe emotional changes or maybe because someone stress and everything. So um, that's actually that it wasn't intentional. After doing that, the person refuses to forgive. Look for one, two, or three people that are closer to the person and complain. Sometimes if you people that matter to the person intercede, the person will forgive. Then after that, using all the available avenue for the person to see reasons with you and forgive. You try that and the person is still never budge or try to accept the apologies. Then you can treat the person as infidel. Even in the Bible is there that if you offend somebody, apologize, the person refuses. Carry one or two people to go and apologize. If the person refuses, then treat the person as infidel. So for me, if after if you finish doing what he expected of you, and the person still insists that over his or her dead body that you never forgive, then treat the person as infidel. Meaning that you have nothing to do with the person again and avoid the person so that you no longer wrong the person again. But however, don't hurt the person. Don't plan evil against the person, but mind their business. Thank you.
That's a very good one. Another question is, how do I stay focused during meditation when my mind still wanders?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Whenever you want, there is some principle that is recommended for meditation. Meditation is actually when you meditate upon something. Yes, especially I ask you to have a topic, have intention. If you want to go into meditation, spiritual exercise, what you have to do is set your goals. You have a dream where you want to be in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to come. Set that lofty ideas up there. Have it in mind that I want to be a joy giver. I want to be a cause of joy to people that will come across me. I want to be that healer, I want to help people to live better life. Set that a large picture to the universe as a point of contact. Then once you set that picture, you belong in because that picture is your target. Now try to downplay other distractions. Naturally, maybe if somebody have offended you days or hours before that meditation, try to make excuses for the person in order to forgive the person. The truth of the matter is that there is no way you can forgive somebody genuinely if you did not make excuses for them. Example, in the Bible, we are told where Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. So, for you to actually forgive somebody, you must make excuses. It's ignorant, maybe need to say, but maybe it's all that intelligent, That is to make you to forgive. If you do not make excuses for somebody, you always think that the person knows actually what he's doing. He looking down on me or he want to hurt me, you make you not to forgive. Yeah, so you first make excuses for the person, forgive the person, so that when coming for your spiritual exercise, you don't have any something grudges or what is blocking you or what is annoying you. Those things that are annoying you occupy the integral part of your heart, and it make it impossible for you to concentrate. So for you to forgive everybody and look towards their target, don't allow, see, those people upsetting you, making you to go angry at this and that are distractions, main distractions. And don't allow them to take your glory. What you have to do is look down on those things, let your eyes be on the ball, and that your ball is your target, your goal. So what you do is forget about all these things and try to forgive those people that wrong you. Try to forget all those things that is hustling and bustling, or maybe material things that you did not get, or that man you're admiring, that boy you're admiring, and all those things. What you have to do is to know that admiring those things of life without support from spirit, the person will not appreciate you too. The most important thing is that, see, this person is my target. I want to have him, I want to have her. Talk to the spirit. That spirit are the ones that will go and talk to the person, make the person. So whatever opportunity comes, it materialize. If not, it might be longing in vain, it might be longing for, it might be desired, even if it's material thing, you're desiring for money, you're desiring for fame, those things will never come because it has not been approved spiritually. But once you approve it spiritually, the person can even be sleeping and be dreaming of you. And before you know it, makes everything possible. The same thing with money. So if you know those things that is your heart desires, set them. Those things that gladdens your heart, and leave those things that cause pain. Because those things that cause pain weigh you down. They are of gross material, they are weighty in nature. Then it's not so uplifting. So but dwelling in them will keep drawing and their prayers down. But thinking about those things that gives you joy. Sometimes it's very there's some things we call joyful activities. You know that even people remembering their joyful moments, even during intimacy, is so uplifting. Those ones that are genuinely desired by them, but naturally uplifting the state of joy. So whatever that makes you to feel joy is uplifting. So, but whatever that makes you feel sad is not uplifting. Is a dries energy. Thank you.
Can I help someone talk change, or should I focus on myself?
Yeah, what you the thing is that if you can never force anything in nature, you are not permitted to force anything. Even if you try to force somebody, it might not work because you can mad over you. You can't actually change somebody easily unless if the person permitted you to change. So for me, sometimes if I approach somebody, try to talk to the person to be of help. If the person did not give me the same energy that actually he or she want me in her life or to change or certain things, I mind my business. Thank you.
So, and lastly, we have here, how do I confront someone with a bad character without judgment?
Yeah, thank you. If you see anybody that is not doing some certain things right, the approach matters. The most important thing, try to make the person feel like a friend. So if the person sees you as a friend, even if jokingly say what what gives you happiness, jokingly try to make the person chat with the person. If it flows, you'll be able to understand the do's and don'ts and what the person likes and the best approach. So certain things, throw it as a question to the person. If you are comfortable with such a question, what would you be your reaction? But so you'll be able to have an idea of what the person believes and how the person look at issues. Now, if you find out how the person look at issues, you know the best way to approach. Like me, let personal. If for me, I'm a type that I hate when somebody look down on me as in to embarrass me. Now, but if somebody chats me on phone, maybe can we look at this way, this and this way, this and believe in me, I will appreciate. Yes, I will look at it that this person actually love my success and whatever. I really want to be of great help. But when the person is not talking and the person is hearing it from behind, it means that the person does not really like it. So if you really want to chat, confront somebody for particular action the person does, what you do is that first of all make yourself a friend to the person. Maybe through chatting, you'll be chipping those things so gradually and watch the person reaction. I so you'll be able to make it part. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
sir, for honoring us with your presence today. Now we have come to the end of today's section of philosophy and life. Do well to keep on sending those questions as they will surely be reacted to. Thank you very much, sir. I hope you always be here for us.
Thank you. I always
Oh
ask.
my god. You can also send a direct message to him on his numbers. You can meet him anywhere on his social media handles, on his Facebook, on his WhatsApp. His numbers are directly on the screen there. Do well to copy that. Make sure you send messages to him. He's always there for you. Thank you very much.